For some time now, there's been a rising trend in bowling, and that's the sheer amount of new bowling balls that are constantly being released. It seems as though you've only just bought the latest high-end reactive ball before a follow-up has been announced, along with about 10 other shiny new balls from other manufacturers. All of these balls promise to be bigger and better than their predecessors, with new core and cover combinations and incredible back-end reaction. But how much of this is true, and how much of it is just clever marketing? Are these new balls really that much of an upgrade from their predecessors, released just months prior? Well, we're trying to answer that in this video. It's now become literally impossible to keep up with all these releases. You simply can't afford to buy them all, and to be honest, you would never really need that many in reality. In my opinion, it's become overwhelming. So why are there so many bowling balls being released? And why do the companies feel the need to keep pumping them out at such a high rate? There's a couple of sides to this question that we need to take a look at. The first is, how many balls are actually released this year, and has this increased compared to previous years? Let's look at the amount of releases over the years, and this should tell us when this trend of constant ball releases began. But just before we do that, I have a very quick announcement. I've literally just set up a Patreon account as well as joining the YouTube membership program. So basically what that means is if you join and become a member, you'll get access to quite a few cool perks. The main one being you'll get access to exclusive bowling videos that will only be available for Patreon and YouTube members. These include bowling breakdown videos, player analysis, ball reviews, and more. You'll also have the opportunity to choose what videos I make. So if you want me to break down one of your favourite PBA telecasts as a member, you'll have the choice. Plus, the new PBA season starts in January 2024, and all members will get exclusive access to videos of me analysing and breaking down every single PBA telecast in 2024. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, I've left a link to my Patreon as well as to my YouTube membership page where you can join there. So let's get back to the video and look at the amount of ball releases this year. Just so you know, I used this website, bowl.com, where it has a fantastic database of pretty much every single bowling ball released, including overseas releases too. I selected just US releases and I counted up throughout 2023, and there have been 104 bowling balls released. I'll repeat that, 104 balls just in 2023 alone. That's almost 9 every month, which is an insane amount in my opinion. There were also 3 more balls announced in December of this year, but as they don't actually release until January 24, I didn't even include these. So you've got over 100 balls all vying for your attention, and the choice really is quite overwhelming. So the logical solution would be to stick with a brand you know well. So for example, if you mainly throw Storm or Hammer, you could narrow it down and say, right, I'm going to choose to buy some balls from their releases this year. But that wouldn't help much, as Storm and Hammer both released 10 balls each in 2023. And are you really going to buy all 10 throughout the year? How does this compare with the previous year, 2022, when it was almost the same with 94 releases in that year? 21 had 63 releases and 2020 had 52, although the pandemic would have definitely had an impact on the numbers for 2020 and 2021. What about if we look a little bit further to, say, 2018? Well, according to the bowl.com records, it was only 44, but I would take this with a little pinch of salt, because I'm not sure how accurate the data is on there the further you go back in time. From what I can see, it's extremely accurate for the last 3 years or so, but as you go back a bit further, I'm just not 100% sure if all the releases are listed on there. But we can see from old posts on bowling forums that there were people complaining about too many releases from as long ago as 2014, so this isn't exactly a new problem. But either way, we can clearly see the numbers have exploded, particularly in 22 and 23, and I can't say I see this trend reversing next year in 2024. The main issue consumers will have is they will start asking questions such as, do I really need this new ball, and how much of an upgrade is this compared to what I already have? Let's just use video games as a quick example. Sports games such as FIFA and NBA 2K started to get a very bad reputation as these games are published every single year, and it soon became clear that it was basically the same game repackaged with a few tweaks here and there. But really, there wasn't much in there to justify buying this game every year. Whereas if you look at the Grand Theft Auto franchise, for example, their game releases are so incredibly spread out that fans literally wait for years and years for the next installment. GTA 5 was released in 2013 and GTA 6 won't be out until 2025, 12 years after this. Okay, this is an extreme example, but it does enable Rockstar to really push the boundaries of the technology available at the time, and you're also able to visibly see such incredible improvements from each game because of how much technology has changed during that vast amount of time. Now, going back to bowling, look at a ball like the Summit from Storm. Well, that was released in June 2023, and already they've announced a new Summit ball, the Summit Peak, which will be out in January 24. But how much can they really improve on this ball in just a few months? Realistically, they're only making minor adjustments that in my opinion don't always justify a new release. When a company does this, in my mind it's just saying that they didn't quite get it right the first time round. It's the same thing with the TNT ball. It came out in February, and to be honest, it was a bit of a disappointment. So 9 months later, Rotogrip brought out the TNT Infused. And to be fair, judging by the reviews, it does seem to be an improvement from the original. But why don't manufacturers hold back on these releases to make sure that they get them right and get them to a level they need to be? It feels like they're just throwing them out there, and if they flop, oh well, it doesn't matter, we can just release an updated ball that's improved and people will just buy it anyway. And this is where we the consumers need to take some responsibility in this, because bowlers have an addiction, and it's balls. We just can't help ourselves. We see a shiny new object and we buy, which partly answers the questions as to why so many balls are being made, because clearly it's profitable for the ball companies, as otherwise they wouldn't be doing it, and they know that many people are going to buy new balls. I'm guessing it must just be more cost effective for them to move straight on to the next ball if a release doesn't take off. The world we live in now means that it's all about marketing. It doesn't really matter how good your product is if it's not marketed in the right way. I think the release of the Not Urethane by Hammer showed how vital a good marketing campaign is. There have been so many great releases recently, but they just get lost. Partly it's due to the mountain of other balls competing for space, partly it's due to the fact that things just move very quickly now, but it's also down to improper marketing as well. But rather than running long-term marketing campaigns, it seems these companies have decided to play the short game. If a bowling ball takes off straight away, then fantastic, they run with that for as long as they can. If it fails, well, they just move on. The hard truth is that balls like the Pitch Black and the Purple Hammer are rare. It is rare for a ball to stay so popular for such a length of time. But what we have now is pretty ridiculous. It feels like we're being told these products are obsolete after a matter of months, but it's simply not true. These balls are still perfectly fine to use, and it's all marketing to convince us that these new releases have found the perfect core and cover combination. It's actually incredibly frustrating because there's quite a few balls released a couple of years ago that I would love to try, but it's so hard to find them now because they've just stopped being made. So to sum up on all of this and answer the questions I mentioned at the start of the video, we're in a situation where it's now quantity over quality, and it's not good for us the consumers because buying a ball now has become a bigger risk, especially as they've become a lot more expensive along with everything else in the world. The truth is, the majority of these balls are not the major upgraded versions they're claimed to be. You might see some improvements for sure, but it's minimal in a lot of cases. To answer the main question, are there too many bowling balls being released? The answer is an emphatic yes. The market is being flooded in my opinion, and with new balls constantly being released, you just miss out on a lot of good balls because you simply can't buy them all. I think everyone would probably agree they would rather have two absolutely incredible Storm balls or Hammer balls, whatever company you use, rather than 15 mediocre ones. But the manufacturers are clearly profiting from this strategy, and unless bowlers' purchasing habits change, I fear this situation will not change anytime soon. And one final question I'd like to raise is, why are there not more urethane balls being made? With the success of the pitch black and in particular the purple hammer, urethane has once again exploded in popularity. Now, there's always going to be demand for high-end equipment, but urethane is just as popular at this point, I feel. The purple hammer has basically dominated the urethane market for some time now, and my question is, why aren't other manufacturers trying to steal the crown from the purple hammer? Surely it would make some sense for them to try, because if they could come up with a ball to rival the purple, well, it would be a game changer for them. My only conclusion is that they feel they simply can't create something on the same level as the purple. Obviously, the new hardness rule complicates matters, and perhaps with this in mind, ball companies feel like their best bet is to stick with the high-end equipment and just churn these out at a high rate. But I just find it interesting that out of the 104 releases in 2023, only 3 were urethane, and there were just 4 in 2022 as well. If anyone has any thoughts or theories about this, just let me know in the comment section below. And that's going to bring us to an end of this video. Really, the main purpose of this video is to create a little bit of a debate about this, but mainly just to emphasize the fact that, certainly for me, I would just much rather prefer to have quality. We don't need hundreds of balls being released every year. As consumers, all we ask is that these ball companies provide us with bowling balls that are at the top end of what they can produce at the time they are made. And I really think people would appreciate fewer releases, and certainly releases that are more spread out, because it will give them more of a chance to test out more of these balls over a longer period of time, and it will stop them feeling so overwhelmed with so much choice. But as always, all of this is just my opinion, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this constant stream of new ball releases. I look forward to reading through all of your responses, and if you have enjoyed this video and you've not subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you would just click the subscribe button below. That will be all for today, and as always, thank you bowling fans, and see you all next time.